When you start to talk to people, you realize that there's a reason why they're in those rooms. And when you continue to compare yourself, you realize you're in the room because you belong there. You might have been a missing puzzle piece and you completed that puzzle.
Welcome to the Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My best friend Tina's with us today. And we are going to talk about, I wasn't going to use the word, but imposter syndrome. And you go, that's dumb. I hear that all the time. But you have that moment when you go, well, how did I get here? Am I really good enough to keep doing this job? Because all of us, we get into that job that it does burn us out. It takes over our lives. And we have to give, or we have chosen to give up other things to be as successful as we are. And we start second guessing it. Is this really me? Is this really what I want to do? How can I keep doing all this stuff and find some time for me? Like, where did I go? Who am I? Am I just playing a role? And if you've ever had even one of those thoughts, Tina's going to be able to help us get some clarity back in our lives. But before we get started, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. And we come back, Tina, help us get some clarity on how we can keep going. We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LauraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Tina, the information about you is in the show notes. So let's get started and let's talk about this stupid word, imposter syndrome. I don't know why it bothers me because I've never been an imposter, but I completely get it. I've lived it. And so as much as the word itself drives me nuts, that's me.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to just keep going.
That's right. That's right.
How do we recognize it and how do we move through it?
Yeah, I think the way to recognize imposter syndrome, or like you said, that inner critic, is when you're encountering self-doubt. When you're starting to question what you're doing, why you're doing it. Can I even do this? Can I make it to the end? Is there a way forward? That's when you're starting to get stuck because those thoughts start to slow you down. They not only slow you down, they start to stress you out if you allow it because you want those questions answered, and you're the only person that can answer those questions.
Oh, yes. I did want those questions answered, but I wanted someone else to do it.
Yeah, and that's called external validation.
And that's, maybe that's why I loved working so much. There was always that external validation, but you get in your family and your friends and your stuff, and that kind of goes away. You just have to guess it.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. You're right.
So how do we have faith that when we're not getting that validation, how do we find it within ourselves?
I think we have to remember that we're probably in these positions because we are good at it, because we are qualified. There is a reason why we're all in whatever position, whether you're a mom or you're a supervisor in in an organization, or if you're partnering with someone. It's important to remember that you are good and you are good enough. And there's a reason why you've been asked to either step into those roles or that those roles were afforded to you. And I
You
know
know,
that's difficult. It's difficult to remember. Um, but that comes with confidence too. Yeah,
now that's a scary word.
it
You
is
know,
scary.
you
It
hear
is.
that saying that confidence not walking into the room knowing you're better than everybody else.
Mhm.
Confidence is walking into the room and knowing it doesn't matter.
That's right.
And that feeling that it doesn't matter is something very foreign to a lot of my large group interactions. I
Mhm.
get scared. I kind of shut down. Even though I can function,
Mhm.
inside you wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I think your confidence almost gets lowered when you are aware of who's in the room and what their backgrounds are. And you start the comparison. You become a part of this comparison trap because you're thinking, why am I in this room? Why would, you're just going to shrink if you allow yourself to shrink. But um, the interesting thing is when you start to talk to people, you realize that there's a reason why they're in those rooms. And when you continue to compare yourself, you realize you're in the room because you belong there. You might have been a missing puzzle piece and you completed that puzzle.
Yeah, you know people that you've hired or brought into your organization just because of some glimmer of something that you needed. And it didn't
Mhm.
need to be everything. It was
Mhm.
this one thing. What I think it was Nordstrom's that always said, we hire for attitude, not skill. You can teach a
Mhm.
skill,
Mhm.
not so easy to teach attitude.
That's right. That's right. Because attitude is it's learned behavior. It's difficult for people to reframe an unlearned behavior.
Yes, it took me years to rewire my brain to change a lot of those. And they
Mhm.
still have that bump in the road when I fall back into that pattern.
Mhm.
Um, but it's still a conscious thing. Oh, wait, I fell in the hole. I'm getting back out right now.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
don't mind telling people, oh, I fell. I'm changing that.
Right, 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 right. It's like you have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to get out.
I
5
want
minutes to
to.
get out of the hole.
The sooner you do it, the easier it is.
That's right.
So, so in all this, as we're understanding now, I've noticed I'm doubting my own ability. So I'm having some kind of imposter syndrome. Do you share it with somebody? How do you get through it? Or do you just like pull up your big boy pants and say, I'm doing it anyway, even if I am an imposter?
I think it's a both and. I mean, hopefully the end result after you've thought it through is to stand up and just walk forward and take the leap and continue moving forward. But I think you have to think about journaling. Just write down when you're having these thoughts and really think about why you're having these thoughts. And I really do think sometimes fear has a lot to do with it. Like say for instance, you've been asked to deliver a presentation in place of someone else who wasn't available. And if you're deathly afraid of public speaking and your boss asks you to do a presentation, whoa, you're going from 0 to 1,000. At least that's the pulse you're going to feel. Your heart is going to be pounding. Your palms are going to be sweaty. Um, but if you could remember that the reason why you're probably being asked is because you are good. Someone believes in you. They know you can do it. That's why they're asking you. The other part of that stress and that imposter syndrome, if you will, comes from you wanting to do so well that you don't want to disappoint the person. And the only thing you can do, honestly, is find a way to push through it. And I really do think that a part of that is to just jot down some notes and to tell yourself, there is a reason why I am being asked to do this, why I am being asked to step up. And if someone believes in you, I think you owe it to yourself to prove that they made the right decision. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
And that's a lot of stress too, though.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I felt like I spent a lot of my career proving myself,
Mhm.
and who was I proving myself to?
Mhm.
Me.
Mhm.
There was
Yeah.
nobody else that needed the proof. It was me. But I
Yeah.
spent many, many hours fretting and worrying and wondering, did I do well enough?
Mhm. Mhm. You know, the interesting thing that I realized over the last few years is that a lot of people are winging it. And and I don't think this has anything to do with confidence. I think this has everything to do with um, deciding to be fearless and just taking the shot, just jumping out there, saying whatever, and just winging it,
Hmm.
which is interesting.
Do
Which
you
is
do you think winging it is not? I mean, because I go through life winging it. I do my
Mhm.
best.
Mhm.
I do what I can to prepare, and I go out with, I'm taking the shot. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been doing this podcast for over 2 years, nearing 3, and
Mhm.
I still feel like an imposter. I'm not a podcaster. Has
Mhm.
nothing. And some people ask me advice. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm here to share a message. I'm here to share
Mhm.
hope. I'm here to share, and that I am.
Mhm. Mhm.
But put a label on it and call me
Mhm.
something that doesn't quite work for me.
Mm. But, I think you are a podcaster because you're like almost 500 episodes in. So you're pretty successful, lady.
We're getting no, but I'm trying to say, even though we show that we can do it
Sure.
and that we are, the label that you put with it is the one
Mhm.
that is the part that creates
Mhm.
that imposter. Because
Mhm.
I'm me. I'm somebody who wants to help everybody. I found a
Absolutely.
mechanism through podcasting, but
Mhm.
but you put that label on it, it's no longer me. When I was a vice president, um, I didn't feel like a vice president. I felt like a programmer who now led a whole bunch of other programmers and IT
Mhm.
people on their path. But
Mhm.
the second I put a label on it, I felt like an imposter. But I
Mm.
felt great doing the job. I don't know if that
Mhm.
makes sense, but
Mhm.
you have these visions of what these roles do,
Mhm.
and they're all either from TV or from people you knew, and what you see is their highlight reels, and
Yeah.
you're going through and seeing all your bloopers and the highlight reels, and you think, "I'm not the same as them." And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
there's that disconnect, and for me, if I threw the title out, I felt confident in doing my job.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I some people have closely tied their titles to their identity over the years. I think even more so now in various sectors. A lot of people are you know put a lot of weight behind their titles. Um, Sometimes masking. I think sometimes using their titles as a mask to help build confidence for themselves, and that works for some people. Um, but I understand why someone might not feel comfortable with a title like that, or with a higher level title, because there's so much that comes with that, at least our perception, based on what we've seen. And like you said, you referenced, from TV and from other external sources, right? And see how that's modeled. Yeah.
We have this vision, I'm old enough that my vision of an account executive in an advertising agency was Darren, whatever his name on, was with Samantha.
Oh, yes. Oh,
I don't
geez.
remember their last
I don't
names.
remember their last
Bewitched
names.
was the movie,
Mhm.
but it's like that's what an advertising executive does.
Mhm.
This is
Mhm.
what a mom does, June Cleaver with the pearls on,
Sure, sure.
And so when you see these roles and you see people play them, you know that's not you.
Mhm.
I was a mother my way.
Mhm.
Does that make me not a mother? No.
Right.
And so one of the things that comes to my mind is when we're trying to measure up to a vision of a title and a how you are to act, you know you're different. But that's your secret sauce. That is
Yes, it's
your thing that adds value, and that's why you're there.
yeah, organizations don't look like a carton of eggs, right? Right?
Yes.
Every organization is different, and there might be 20 VPs in an organization, in a larger organization. They're all going to be different, and that's a great thing. Having that diversity of thought, having that diversity of experience, diversity in generations, generational diversity, I think is very key. Having various generations in the workplace is huge, especially for the newer generation, for Gen Z, who's getting a bad rap right now in the workplace. It's good for them to have that mentorship, and for those of us who are of the older generations, like boomers and now elder millennials, Gen X is what I am. It's good to be around Gen Zers too, to figure out like what the new kids are talking about now. So it's great to have that diversity overall.
Yes, but I also see how it adds to imposter
Hmm.
syndrome. Like,
Hmm.
I
It can.
refuse to work more than 8 hours. Like, this is what the younger ones would. Nope, I got to go home. We have to get this done. Nope, I got to go home. And I'm like, what happened? But they are honoring their boundaries. And we were taught to let go. Boundaries aren't important. You just stay all night and do everything you have to do.
Hmm.
And who really has it right?
Hmm. That's right. It's amazing. They are honoring their values. That is what they are sticklers for that. 4:49, they are done. They are packing up the laptop and the backpack. And they are done. Yeah, absolutely. It's
It's like me at school. I packed down all my books and took them home, but did I do any homework? No. You
mhm.
know, they pack up all their stuff, go home, and it is off. It's
Mhm.
only there in case they don't come to work the next day and they can work from home.
Mhm. Mhm. That's right.
And I am not dishing on them, not at all. What I'm
Right.
saying is we all need to find that thing in us that's non
Mhm.
negotiable because
Mhm.
that is who you are. And if it doesn't work for someone, you're in the wrong place. And I'm sure this came from a book, but it was one of my managers that used to say, I need the right people on the bus and I need everybody in the right seats. You can have a right person, but if they're in the wrong role, they're not going to flourish. If you have the
Oh, tell me
wrong
about
people
it.
on it, if you want to get where you're going, you get the right people on the bus and you get them in the right seats. And so I don't know where that came from other than my boss used to say it all the time.
I think that's from, Good to Great, the book Good to
Maybe.
Great. Mhm.
And I read that book, so it probably was. Like, I
Mhm.
actually read it more than once. So I just read so many books. It's like crazy. But yes, how do you do that? And if you are on the bus, there is something in you they want on that bus. And
That's right.
that's what you need to identify with. Not your
That's right.
title, not all these other things, but mine was the positivity. We need you here to keep everybody on the up and up.
Mm.
Whether you can do
Mhm.
everything else perfect or not, the cheerleader of the group. You keep
That's
everybody
right.
going. And
That's
so,
good.
what is your special sauce?
Mhm.
Why are you on the bus?
Yeah.
That's what we need to figure out.
Yeah, that's where self-awareness comes in too, right? Is knowing, being fully aware of what you are good at and what you've learned and how you're harnessing, continuing to harness what you've learned. And I like that analogy from Good to Great about having the right people on the bus and knowing whether or not you yourself are in the right position, what makes you feel comfortable. There are a lot of people that are in organizations that are, quite frankly, sitting in the wrong seat on the bus. They certainly belong on the bus for sure, but some of them should probably be driving, you know.
Mhm.
And some of the people that are driving probably need to be in other seats, right? Um, but again, that goes to self-awareness, and I totally see how imposter syndrome could creep in there too, because if you're not aware, I think that's where you have to ask for feedback from people that you trust, from people that you honor and you trust, that you have a good relationship with. Just ask a couple questions and get some feedback, because some people, and I've experienced this in the workplace, when I was younger, where people have told me what they think I'm good at. Like, you're really good at this. Have you tried X? Have you thought about doing this? I'm like, no, not really. um, but sometimes when employers take notice, that's a signal. That's a good signal.
Yeah, and really, if you are on the bus and
Hmm.
you don't know why, it's okay to ask.
That's right.
What is the thing that you saw in me that you that put me in this position? Because I'm struggling and I want to shine where you want to shine. Sometimes that thing that we're the best at comes so naturally you don't even know you're good at it. And other
Hmm.
people look at you and you just go, everybody's like this. You don't
Hmm.
see it. And so
Hmm.
when you're like struggling to be good at all these other things, you're hiding your secret
Hmm.
sauce. I don't know,
Hmm.
what is it? The strength finders, where it goes through and it kind of
Yes.
gives you that thing. And I love the analogies because it says, you are like this. Here's
Hmm.
how it can be a strength. And
Yes.
here's where it can be a weakness.
Hmm.
One of mine is includer. I want to include everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out. Well, that's
Yeah.
really easy to find the weaknesses because you can't put a million people on the bus.
Right.
Somebody's got to be let out. And so,
Hmm.
where is that balance of what are your strengths? How can you keep using them because they're going to come natural? What came natural to me didn't come natural to other people, but I just thought
Hmm.
everybody had it.
Yeah.
And you are the same way. There's
Hmm.
things about you that just natural.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll use this example because it's kind of a blessing and a curse. Kind of a blessing and a curse. You mentioned includer is high for you. For me, it's restorative, and people that are restorative, they're natural problem solvers. And so, in one regard, I recognize problems easily. And sometimes it might look like I'm being a negative Nelly because I immediately go to what's wrong because it's the first thing I pick up on. Um, so it's great that I can recognize problems quickly and solve them quickly, but at the same time, I have to be careful how I communicate and how quickly I communicate those. That's where my self awareness comes in. I have to make sure that, read the room, make sure you are fully aware of who you're talking to and how you can present that information so it's received in the way that you intend, in the best way that you intend.
I was yelling at my dog. All right. So, yes, I mean, so much so that, how do we, if you can take a test like Strength Finders, I think the
Hmm.
book's called Strength Finders too, and it has a little code in the
Yes.
back. And
Hmm.
and I've taken it 2 or 3 times, and it's so funny that they're always so close to the same thing.
Hmm.
We change over time, but our
Hmm.
core strengths don't change.
Oh, the core. Your top 10, your top 5 are gonna be pretty close to identical because those are just your natural talents. Those are your natural talents. It's interesting you mentioned this because I'm actually a certified, strengths I'm certified in the Clifton Strengths. I love it so much.
It was one of those books that helped me understand why I was on the bus,
Mhm,
and it helped me know my role because
mhm,
I wasn't perfect at everything,
mhm,
but
mhm.
I was able to communicate and share and lead in a way that people wanted to follow,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, rare.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. The other thing too is, when you're asked to be on the bus and you don't know, and then you're told because you're observant and I trust you, that's all you need, right? I mean, because really, you've become a senior advisor at that point. At that point, right? That's like the pinnacle. When you can when you can sit and observe the environment and whisper in the principal's ear what you've noticed and what patterns you've noticed. That's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, not that we wanna promote one way or the other, but it is a
Mhm.
great way to take the
Mhm.
test online. It's not that long, and you get a nice readout, and once you buy the book, it doesn't cost you more for it. There's so many
Mhm.
sites that you go into, and then they want 10 more dollars for this, unless it's
Mhm.
changed in the last, I don't know, I think I took it 20 years ago. I mean, I've
Mhm.
taken it since then, but
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the thing that this does is it gives you a label because
Mhm.
sometimes I don't know what I'm feeling or why I'm feeling
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
And finding that label kind of goes, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Just saying with listen to a podcast or a book or something in your commute. You go, oh, I've
Mhm.
been I've been wondering about that. That makes sense. Like I couldn't put words to it. And
Mhm.
so some of these personality tests and stuff, they put words to your feelings and they help
Yeah.
you to articulate back and explain to other
Yeah.
people that don't understand everything about you. Because if we all had the same strengths, this world would be boring and there would be a lot of gaps in the world.
Yes.
We
Oh, for
need
sure.
our uniqueness. We need all of the strengths because we all pull a different weight.
Yes.
And I mean, I think just thinking about it and thinking about imposter syndrome is like, when you know who you are, the
Mhm.
titles and all that other stuff don't matter anymore. You
They
just are
don't
good at what
matter.
you're doing.
That's right, they just don't matter at all. And that's why I love the Clifton Strengths, assessment. It's when I took it and I started reading, it was like holding up a mirror to yourself. And it's like, "Oh my gosh, that's what this means." Like, this is what I knew this about myself, but just to see it in writing is different. To see it recalled back to you is completely different. Very eye-opening, very revealing,
I
and
bought books for
extremely helpful.
everybody. My kids, they were in high school at the time. So I guess it's been 30 years.
Mhm, mhm,
And so I'm like getting everybody to take this test. And then I went to a job later on and they gave it to all the people in their department because the director loved it too. And
mhm.
then I had a coach and she used it. So I've gone through and used it multiple times, but it helped me with my imposter syndrome because I no
Mhm.
longer was trying to be somebody I wasn't. And I was able to
Yes.
know what my secret sauce was.
That's the stressful part, is feeling like you have to live up to something and you're questioning whether or not you can. But if you know your strengths, you can. You could probably get there faster. And so that's a great thing. That is a very effective assessment. It's a very effective tool, and I think it's timeless. It's timeless.
The results are timeless.
Mhm,
The test
mhm.
is timed because they don't want you overthinking it.
That's right.
Each
That's right.
question has a certain amount of time, and if you don't answer it, you don't get to because you've then overthought it. And I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
that goes into your assessment too.
Mhm. Mhm. That's right. That's right.
Now we've like told, I mean, I know we've kind of like brought up one particular point,
Mhm.
but I really think it goes to the core of what we're talking about.
Sure.
And when you lead with your strengths, you don't feel like an imposter. You might think, oh, this is an easy job. Why is
Mhm.
everybody else having such a hard time doing this?
Mhm.
Because it's
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
and that's
Mhm.
not an imposter.
Yeah. I think it also may reveal if there's some things that you're not so strong in, it gives you the confidence to go seek it in another team member, right? And to delegate, and to it gives you gives you a level of comfort about yourself where you will feel more comfortable delegating because you know what you're good at. But someone else on your team, if you're aware of their strengths as well, I think it gives you more confidence to be okay with not being the only person stuck with doing something. Getting others involved. I think
Yeah.
that's huge.
I need these numbers to make sense to management, so I'm gonna go get my analyzer to help me with this.
That's that's
Like,
right. That's right.
and I think that's why the guy I was working for used it, is he
Mhm.
really did give jobs based on your strengths so that they
Mhm.
got done
Mhm.
with less effort.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So what are some of the other mechanisms to help us deal with imposter syndrome?
You know what I think is really important is to do a voice note to yourself or your ideal self. Sounds a little weird, but if you were, let's say you were fully confident, there was nothing wrong, and you wrote a letter to yourself or you spoke a letter to yourself or a note to yourself. What are all the things that you love about yourself? Put it in a voice note. And when you are feeling down, when you are questioning why, just questioning all of the whys, listen to that voice note because most likely that voice note was full of confidence. It was full of your speaking of yourself in the ideal of who you are truly. I think that's important. I do think it's good to journal. I think it's good to get your thoughts out on paper. And sometimes when you're having bad thoughts, just rip it up because none of it's true. None of it's true.
But you've gotten it out and it's not
But
stuck
you've gotten
down
it out.
inside. And sometimes just stuffing it down inside and not having an
Mhm.
outlet
Mhm.
can cause a lot of emotional crap, you know?
Mhm.
And so being able to write it down. And, if you want to write down all the things you want to let go about you and then burn it,
Mhm.
go for it.
Mhm.
There's no
Mhm.
reason to hold on to it. Let it
That's
go up
right.
with the ashes. It's okay.
That's right. That's right. I think the other thing too is to have community. A couple of close friends that you can really talk to and be vulnerable with. I think that is very important um, because not having that, you just feel alone. Some of the stuff you may not feel comfortable talking to your supervisor about, some stuff you may not feel comfortable talking to your family about. But if you have just a close group of people that you trust wholeheartedly that you all can openly share. I think that's important to have a good support system.
I cannot say enough about open communication. That
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
safe person, that
Mhm.
if it's your dog, that
Mhm.
one safe thing that
Mhm.
you can share with and express yourself freely without feeling judged or
Mhm.
like you have to change or the person that tries to fix everything. That you need an environment that you can share and not be fixed, because the sharing in itself will help you fix it inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I have a whole bunch of coaches out on my website. If you want to find one, they're
Right.
all great.
Mhm.
Oh, Tina, this has been fun. So important. So
Mhm.
important to know what causes us to doubt ourselves.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
love how you were able to articulate that feeling of doubt is when imposter syndrome comes in. Because
Mhm.
if you have that doubt, let it go.
Yeah.
Because now just put it down. What is your secret sauce? And pick
Mhm.
that back up, because that's what's going to shine, and that's what's going to help everything work for you in your favor, because we all have it and we all have a different secret sauce. Thank
Right.
goodness.
Yes, absolutely. Well said.
Why don't you share a little bit about yourself,
Mhm.
how to get a hold of you, what you do, and if we could only do one thing, what should we do this week?
Well, let me start with that. The one thing we all can do this week is just give ourselves grace. These weeks, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not, but sometimes we have to slow down and just honor ourselves and give ourselves grace to think, to decompress, and just be. I can't tell you how uncomfortable it is to just be when you're always on the go. We're always, running here, running there. We're the go to person, we're the fixer. Nothing gets done unless we do it. Well, pause for a second. Go grab that latte, go for a walk, pick up your favorite book. For me, I love listening to 80s music. Uh, that's my that's my that's my break. That's a good break for me. But I'm Tina Jackson. I'm based in Washington D.C. I'm actually born and raised here. I've spent a good 20 some years in national politics. And I went into my business full time several years ago to do coaching and management consulting for executives, not only in the political space, but also in the nonprofit space. And so a lot of the reason I do the work that I do is because there were so many past voids in my career. I did not have a mentor until later in my career. I didn't understand coaching until I didn't realize over my career I was actually coaching. It's, one of those things
Yeah.
you kind of fall into. But then I started to study emotional intelligence because I was just wondering why. Why are these bosses so bad? Why are they so terrible? Why do they speak to people the way that they speak to them? And I realized there was a lack of management training. And so I started to study emotional intelligence. I got into the Clifton Strengths, the Strengths Finder, and became certified in that. And yeah, I've just been doing the management consulting, organizational management consulting, and working with CEOs in the political space.
Yeah, I love it. And I really feel like this has been a very insightful. I think I have less resistance to the word imposter syndrome than I did coming
Mhm.
into it,
Mhm.
because I now have some words around it,
Yeah.
some new words, some new things, and new ways of feeling it. And,
Yeah.
that self discovery, when you take a moment to really, what is it about this that
Mhm.
I don't like? And when you can
Mhm.
find it, it makes so much more sense. So I really appreciate your time and what you've been able to share today. Friend Tina and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We're here for entertainment. People that have been down a road and would love to help shine a light on your path to help you get to your destination. Thank you for joining. The information about Tina and the links to the books that we have talked about are in the show notes. So thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.